100 million US and December 31st. That's the ultimatum bondholders just gave Jamaica's most famous billionaire. So, hi guys, my name is Matthew Preston and welcome to the Limitless podcast. Joining us as always is your co-host, Dr. Thaon Simms. Hail out the people, Thaon.
Hey guys, what's good?
Yeah, and today we will be talking about NCB Financial Group, one of Jamaica's largest banks, posting record profits, but its chairman, Michael Leachin, could lose control of the company in the coming weeks. In this episode, we're going to try to break down exactly what's going on, why the stock has dropped so much, and what it means for the thousands and thousands of shareholders of NCB watching this unfold. And yeah, let's get into it. How do you feel about this one, Thaon?
I think the gravitas of the situation is immense. I think that as you said, the thousands of shareholders that are possibly watching our content or not. I know, we could be ambitious and say thousands of them are watching us. Unlikely, but who knows? Because it's such a massively held stock. I mean, when you look at it, NCB is either the biggest bank in Jamaica or one of the biggest banks in Jamaica. So, when you think of banking in Jamaica, you think NCB. So this is massive. And
are you an NCB customer?
I have a bank account, with NCB. I actually have a loan with NCB, a car loan. Yeah. So, that's I've never really, outside of sending money to the account, I've never really used the account. I thought their online banking was just a bit more difficult than my current account, which is Scotia. So I just don't really use them. But I know a lot of people that use NCB. So my parents, I think, have NCB account. Yeah, both of them have NCB accounts. So it's massive, because I think a lot of people have interacted with NCB in some way, shape, or form. And then the ripple effect for the whole stock market. We have a lot to discuss, man. So I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I think what would be good to do would be to give, a backstory on NCB. So we already mentioned, okay, I guess when I looked at it, right, the company was one of the best performing stocks a couple of years back. I think it was 2019 or so. It's hit over 200 Jamaican dollars, right? And yeah, that means the company was, I don't know how much billions or something the company was worth then. It was seen as, the oldest stock. I'm sure at the time people were saying, oh, it could even go higher and could be $500, $300 and whatever, right?
You remember they wanted to list on the I think the New York Stock Exchange at one point.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing something about that. Yeah. That would have been interesting, because you think, I guess looking back now, if that were to have happened, that would it's interesting to see what that would have had, because I feel like it would have been better for Michael.
Might have been.
Yeah, you don't think so?
No, it might have been better. It might have been a bit more difficult at the time to list, especially with the debt that they were accumulating has been accumulating from then. So it's who knows, it could have been better. It could have possibly been better. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, but I think so we said company was doing really well then. It was one of the favorite stocks. It was something that tons of people were saying prior to putting your portfolio and stuff. That was actually right before I guess I had started investing, or right at the beginning. Would have been, it had peaked, I think, around the time maybe that I had started, or it had peaked and then I started maybe a few months later or so. And yeah, I guess over the, when COVID hit the world, it hit center shock to a lot of different companies or countries, especially a country like Jamaica, we depend heavily on tourism. The borders were locked down. But yeah, they lent money to a lot of these businesses and stuff. It affected their business, and not just them, a lot of other country or companies. And I think they had start paying dividends and stuff. They're instructed from the Bank of Jamaica. And yeah, basically what can happen is that you can use your ownership in NCB, which is, I guess, what the companies affiliated with Michael Leachin did. They said, hey, we have this asset which is worth, I don't know, whatever billion US or whatever millions, hundreds of millions of US at a time. We will let us borrow. We want to invest in other things, right? So we would like to borrow some money from you. And to, I guess, lower the risk, you could say, hey, lend us the money because we will sign a document to say if we are unable to pay you, you could technically own these shares and you could seize the shares and then you could sell them to someone else. You could get the dividends from the shares, cash from it, whatever. And so that's what happened. They borrowed money many years ago. And then basically over the last several years, they've been running into...
Who is they? Because I think of it as...
those companies, I guess.
Yeah, I think of it as it's two different problems, or I would say it's the owners of it is two different problems. So I think of NCB, like, NCBFG, NCB Financial Group, the holding company. It's listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, etc. And then I think of Michael Leachin affiliated companies,
which he owns shares in.
Yeah, so and those are like what? Portland, Barbados Limited. You have AIC, Barbados as well, and then Specialty Coffee Investment Company. So it's really those three major companies, and they own shares in NCB. And so I think of the Michael Leachin affiliated companies owning shares in NCB and having debt issues, and then I think of NCB Financial Group owning shares in like Guardian and them having debt issues. And then there are two different scenarios, because our last episode on NCB, we spoke mainly about NCB and the debt issues, and them pledging Guardian shares. And what that means is, they own Guardian shares. NCBFG owns Guardian shares.
And that'd be Guardian Insurance Jamaica. Well, Guardian, not just Jamaica, but Guardian Insurance. They're one of the big insurance companies in the Caribbean.
In the entire Caribbean, yeah. I think it's Guardian Holdings Limited is the proper word, the proper company name. But at that time,
they manage a lot of pensions in Jamaica too.
Yeah. They actually manage quite a bit of pensions. I think they bought NCB's pension arm. There's a pension arm that they bought too. But so at the time, NCB actually they owed people money, right? And so they had to figure out how to pay them. So they refinanced about a lot of, like, I think it was like $250 million US of debt. Back then, I think this was like last year. And they pledged, meaning they used their stake in Guardian as collateral at the time. And that, there was like a lot of market jitters and reputational damage because they used Guardian shares, which is kind of unusual for a major Caribbean bank to, you want to use your crown jewel, because Guardian actually...
But I think the shares were already used.
Part of the shares, not all the shares.
Oh.
But now I think they pledged a significant portion, or I think all of the shares now are pledged. So it was a bit weird at the time because of that. And there's a point in time where the shares are like double pledged. So it's like you pledge them in the previous bond, and then you go back again and you pledge them in the new bond, but you have to pay off that previous bond first. So it's like they're double pledged. But that was cleared up and so on. But that was then. So now the major issue I think that people are seeing in the news, and I'm seeing in Trinidad news articles and stuff like that, is the Michael Leachin affiliated companies and them being almost like in distress. So around the same time, his private holding companies, the same one that we were mentioning, Portland and AIC and the coffee one, Specialty Coffee, they're struggling to meet their own bond obligations. So they actually owed around 300 million to like Jamaica and Trinidadian. Yeah, 300 million US. Big. Yep. Thank you for that clarification, bro. And they actually so they owed collectively they owed about that much, 300 million US to Jamaica and Trinidadian note holders, and that's debt. But that debt now is backed by Leechen's holdings of NCB FG
Mm-hmm.
shares, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the crucial part. And so I think earlier this year, and Leechin owned about like half of NCB. I think it's more than half. It's a bit more than half of NCBFG.
Mm-hmm.
But roughly about 50% of NCB's shares were pledged as collateral for
Mm-hmm.
loans and these bonds taken out by these companies, the three companies. And so, as the debt came due,
Mm-hmm.
things started to pop up and
Mm-hmm.
cracks started to show. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you could see that they've
Mm-hmm.
been missing
I think
payments.
a good way to understand it would be like, okay, just like if you go to the bank and you want to borrow money
Mm-hmm.
to buy a car, the bank usually can seize the car. From my understanding is that the bank could seize the car if you have issues paying the loan. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why they're willing to lend you, like if you think about it, or the same thing with a house, a mortgage. A house is seen as one of the safest investments. So that's why the banks are willing to lend you millions of dollars sometimes to buy a house. Versus if you say, "Oh, I want to start a business," you're not usually going to get as much money, or if they would lend you the money, it would be at a very high interest rate or something. So it's a lot. It's the same thing where it's like you have this thing. So this would be the Michael Leach affiliated companies that you mentioned, those three companies. So you have those companies. They own this thing, which was the NCB. They borrow the money and they're saying, hey, if you can't pay us, or if we can't pay you, you can always take this thing because it's worth so much. And I guess at the time it was like, hey, this is something that will never go down. It's going to continue to increase in value. It's paying out all of these dividends. It's like you're getting all this money from it. So, I think that was the thing I guess it's now like if someone comes into looking, they'll be like, oh, wait, but why? That'd be so risky, Why would you be willing to do that? But I guess you have to realize that, at the time, that's not
Mm-hmm.
really how people viewed it. It's just how it's played out now. You're going to look back and say, oh, that was so obvious. I would have never invested in that. How could people invest in something like that where it's done that? But at the time, it was not seen that way.
Yeah.
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 So I always
At the
try to
time,
put
everything
yourself in that
was.
perspective. Don't just say, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
those people are so stupid. How could they do that?
Yeah. It's a bit nuanced, and the
Mm-hmm.
thing now that's happening is imagine now you miss the payments to the bank, right? You're missing
Mm-hmm.
payments that you miss your monthly car payment or your monthly mortgage and so on. And the same thing has happened, with even some of Leechen's companies. So Portland missed at US, I think it was about $23 million payment
Mm-hmm.
last year. I think May last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that triggered a lot of like chatter in the media and so on. And it had been late on like the first 2 of 3 payments as well and so on. So you could
Mm-hmm.
tell that there are troubles, because if you're having issues paying, you probably have cash issues if you can't pay back these. Because how a bond works is you're supposed to get let's say Preston, how a bond would work is, let's say Preston is buying into a bond, right? Like a Mayberry bond or whatever, and he has $1 million and he gives them $1 million. All right. How it works is Preston is supposed to get back interest payments, maybe quarterly, or on whatever the bond agreement is. Quarterly, you get like a payment or so on, and at the end of maybe the tenure of the bond, whether that's 3 years, whether it's 5 years, you get back how much you put in, which is the principal. All right. And so imagine now Preston's not getting these quarterly payments, and the same
Mm-hmm.
thing is happening for these bondholders. Right, they've been missing these payments from these companies, and then even throughout like
Mm-hmm.
2022 to 2024, you had several tranches of
Mm-hmm.
AIC and PBL bonds that matured without timely repayment and so on, and things just kept happening. And one of the things we noticed even on the market too is, I don't know if you saw this, Preston, but it was like a stopgap, and to raise cash and avert like a full default, AIC Barbados actually sold big chunks of NCB shares, and you could see it. You could see it on the market, right? In earlier this year. I don't know if you'd want to like bring it up, but that was about $1 billion Jamaican dollars at the time, right? And those sales, when you meds that, that's like a band-aid, because yeah, it's about 2%. It was about 2% of the outstanding debt. But imagine now that's reducing Leachin's stake in his company. And then you have to meds that those shares that AIC, so let's say AIC is one of the companies. AIC owns, NCB shares. You can't sell a lot of your shares because they are already pledged. Do you get me? So most of the shares are already pledged that's collateral. So you can't freely sell more shares just to raise cash or liquidity. You can't easily dump pledged shares without the creditor's consent and so on. So it's just very sticky. So you have to find the money. You have to just find the money. Yeah, so that's what they were trying to do, and they were trying to find the money too. I saw that even earlier on. They actually borrowed. AIC took out a loan. I don't know if you saw that from Barito. They actually took out a loan from Barito earlier on in this year, and that was secured by NCB Towers, which is the office.
It's the atrium. It's the same one in New Kingston.
And that's about 4 billion Jamaican. It's raised via like mortgages on the property and stuff like that. So, I applaud Leachin, because the man is figuring it out. The man, I say, yo,
this is the one. Here, there. This is the one with the helicopter pad. I think, right?
Yeah.
It's near Pegasus.
The Towers, yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it's near Pegasus.
Yeah.
Like Oxford Road. It's right near to Mayberry too.
Exactly, right across from Mayberry. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you have to find the money somehow, and the man is crafting it somehow, some which way. But it's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, I think one of the tough parts too is like, one, I was even talking to someone the other day, and I guess I tried to give a summary of what was going on to them. They were like, "Oh, why would he do that?" and stuff like that, in terms of why would he borrow the money. But I guess I was just thinking, like, what if in an alternative future, COVID hadn't happened? Like, what if, it had continued, like economic growth had continued, and I mean, I guess there'd always be some other big win, but I guess there's that. And then you also have to think about, hey, that people realize that, hey, a lot of these, like I was reading some articles, and I'll probably show them after. A lot of the people that have invested in these bonds, right? It's like the money that they get from that these people are sometimes retired. This is like a big part of their income, their retirement income. So it's like, hey, they were expecting $100,000 4 times a year, 200,000, whatever. And then they were expecting in a few years they'd get that big payment back. That's usually how the bond works. You get small payments throughout the year, and then at the end of the bond, which is like 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, you get the big, whatever time period, you get the big payment back. You get your money back. And it's like people were waiting on that. They were like saying, hey, I was planning to do this, or my kids need this, or I need this for this health or whatever. So I guess it's
one
also
person or a set of people said it was a health, like they needed the money for some health.
Yeah, that's tough. I can probably share the article that we're going from. It's like I found like 3 different articles. And I think the thing is that the articles, what I should say is that the articles are supposedly from there was a meeting. Yeah, there was a meeting that happened, like last week? What day was it? I think it was last week, Wednesday, 26th of November. And I guess there were people at the meeting that then wrote about this, like, because it was a recording and stuff. And I'm trying to find what you were saying. Yeah, because you see this article
or the 29th.
from Trinidad. This article came out 6 hours ago, but it was I think referenced in the previous meeting. From the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, titled "Leeching NCB or NCB Financial Group Facing Headwinds." And one of the things it said that you mentioned, the quote that it said, one investor posting during a recent call noted that they required their matured funds to handle medical treatments. Think about that from our perspective. Oh, like if this person, we don't know the age, but as we said, some of these loans are pretty old. So it's like, oh, if someone was investing in this, they may be reaching 50s, 60s, I guess they could be up there. I guess it's starting to get up there in age. And then there could be, what if they have, the big C, cancer or heart disease or all these different things. And then they're like, hey, I need this medication. I need to do this surgery.
Yeah.
And so it's tough on their side,
100%,
it's tough on their
bro.
side.
Very tough.
Yeah. But yeah, what we should say is that's really, I guess, what is prompting the video now. This meeting happened, and well, from my understanding, and you can correct me, is that they had the meeting. This meeting was supposed to be a planning meeting because I think other meetings had happened earlier this year. And it was in relation to getting the money back. And what they're saying is that the can keeps getting kicked down the road. And they're saying, hey, we need to try to put, I guess this in a way is putting pressure on him or the companies to say, hey, we need to get some payment. What I saw was that they gave him, the companies, basically the 100 million US, or well, I see here this article is quoting 95 million US has to be paid by December 31st. So, and that's December 31st, 2025. Right?
You mean in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like, it's basically saying the end of the year. The year is basically done. The
year is basically done. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really that much. And they were saying that what I found interesting was that you mentioned before that the shares. So it's like, okay, you owe the money. You're selling NCB shares to pay people, the money that you owe them. But this, I understand is that they're proposing like a new agreement that will force the 100 million US payment by the end of this year. So it's not, I don't think it's technically gone into play yet. What's supposed to happen is that I think the article quoted it, that meetings will take place between December 2nd and 11th at the Jamaica Stock Exchange's head office. So some meetings have already happened, It'd be interesting to see. I wonder if they...
And there's some more
have
meetings
security at that meeting. I think anybody can just go.
You just dress up as someone. We can go? You don't think we can go, bro?
Legally?
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought they're gonna restrict people still, unless you go hop fence and those stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these meetings are gonna be going over the next few weeks, and I think the meetings are saying, hey, we want to...
And this is for note holders, like bondholders meetings.
Yeah, the people that lent the companies the money. Yeah. And then what they're saying is that, hey, we want to create a new deal where instead of the companies just being able to, I guess, push the loan payments and things like that, it's like, hey, if you can't pay the 100 million US by the end of this year, and it's not 100, think of it, that's just really a piece of all the money, because I think I've seen stuff about, it's about 300 million US plus. So it's really just possibly a third or less or more. It's a small, it's 100 million, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to how much, we're not dropping the bucket, but there's still a lot more money that has to be paid too. So they're trying to, I guess, put more pressure on him to say, hey, if the money isn't paid by this date. But the weird part was that I did see something that it said there'd be 45 days after that. I'm trying to find it. That if, obliges a trustee to issue a notice of acceleration within 45 days of the missed payment. Hold on.
It's just kind of wild to me.
I think you technically still have 45 days after. If the companies were to miss the 100 mil payment, they would still technically have 45 days after that they could still technically pay, if I read that correctly.
So I mean, I'm seeing a lot of stuff, so I don't know if it's just I mean, I don't know about the 45 days, but I want to, like, I want your opinion. Do you think that is very, like, how reasonable do you think that timeline is to come up with $100 million? You think that's a reasonable ask?
Well, I mean, he hold on. One of the articles quotes him as having the money, or quote, because this article from the Observer, bondholders issue leeching 94 mil US ultimatum. This came out November the 28th. What's quoted here says, when pressed on the fundamental question of whether Leechin could realistically find the 94 million by the deadline, Christopher Zaka, who is CEO or chairman of Sagicor, he is I think he's a chairman of the board of all these people that are owed money. He said he revealed that the billionaire Michael Leechin has personally assured us that and this is them quoting, assured us that he has the funds. So I guess we'll see. We will see. It's tough because like even if you pay this 100 million, you still have more 100 mils to pay.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think of it, I'm of two minds, because in my head, that's very short notice. You know, like
short notice. It's been going on for years. Hold on.
That's why I said I'm of two minds. Notice. That's why I said I'm of two minds, because yes, it's released recently that, you know, or released in publicly that you need to come up with 94 mil in a couple of weeks or in a few weeks.
Well, that's the deal that they are saying. We should clarify that. That's what the deal are saying, because the deal technically hasn't gone through. What I understand is that there are more meetings that people have to vote. Yeah, because I was seeing that in the same article it mentions that
you need a supermajority, they say. So you need I think about 75% of note holders to say, you know, we all agree that this is what we're gonna do, and Leech needs to come up with this money at this time for everybody to be like, cool, this is it. I've been seeing a lot of that, but
what I would say though is that you realize that they're kind of it's not like they're, well, you know, that they actually have so the same article that we mentioned, they mentioned that hey, a lot of the brokers in Jamaica, Sagicor, JMB, Barita, Victoria Mutual, GK Capital, Grace Kennedy, they are saying a yes vote to this deal. And they themselves don't have the 75%, but Jamaica Observer, based on this, is saying Jamaica Observer understands that collectively they hold more than 50%. I wish they would state the exact percentage if they knew it, but yeah, because more than 50%, 60% is more than 74.9% is more than 50%. But it's not like, they're at 10%, so they already know, hey, it's just really, well, I shouldn't say just, because that's still a lot of people, but
but it's still a majority. It's still
gives me
a
like
huge
a Succession vibes, you know.
If
anyone that watches Succession, if you remember that big shareholder meeting that happened and stuff, and you really get in. Because the other thing I was mentioning with this though is that the brokers. So my understanding is that they're saying, hey, this article is saying, hey, they have more than 50%, but it's like some of their clients also have a stake in it. So
of course,
if I, the broker, I'm saying, hey, I'm gonna vote yes, then what would I tell my client who is invested in it, who has been asking me for years or months, hey, what's going on with my money? What might I tell them? I mean, would I tell them yes or would I tell them no? At the end of the day, it's still their decision, but you know, there's also lobbying power. Like I'm like, hey, the brokers could be going out, just like Succession when there's a big, you know, marketing campaign or whatnot. You could say, hey, we want you to vote yes, put it in the paper. I don't know. Have you seen anything like that? I haven't really been looking.
If I've seen anything like that, not necessarily.
Yeah, like lobbying or anything like that.
No, I haven't really been seeing a lot of that. I think though, the other point I wanted to make, and you know, because I was saying it might look like short notice to a lot of people, but I agree with you. It's not short notice, because this 100 mil or 94 mil or 95 mil, we've seen a lot of quotes. I'm just gonna, for simplification, I'm gonna just say 100 mil by the end of the year, right?
Which is
it
really
looks
like
a
3
huge
weeks.
ask. Yeah.
Even think about the fact that you have to think about it. Transferring that money is not even gonna be like, won't that take time to even? It's not like You get the money
Yeah.
December 29th, like even something like that. I'm sure there's gonna be interbank transfer. You got to move around the money, and so is it really 3
transaction
weeks?
fees, exactly.
How many days
But
is it? Think about weekends.
this figure represents like a combination of things like, you know, overdue interest from, you know, months and a couple of years gone by, and also a portion of the principal too, because people need, you know, people need their funds. So it's just like a huge personal debt pressure on the chin. And then you know, if you fail this to make this payment, that would push the company's bonds from like that's default. So creditors could actually seize the collateral, and the collateral is NCB shares.
But have you even wondered what would happen then? Because I was reading I think some of the articles actually mentioned some of the like possibilities that they were asked about. Because it's like, okay, if
you know how much shares it is, it's like 1 billion shares, you know, of
yeah,
NCB shares. That's a huge amount when you meds that, bro, because that's like 40% of all of NCB shares. 40%, fam. You know, to me, that's like the magnitude. That's why I said the gravitas of the situation is insane, because like, and it's why it's so sensitive, because this could lead to like a change of control at Jamaica's largest bank. That's massive. You know, bondholders are basically saying, if you don't pay me on time, we are gonna auction off this like nearly almost half of NCB just to get our money back. That's what they're saying. You know, so that's huge. That's actually huge. So, and
I was
I
trying to
have thoughts
find
about what would happen. Like, I think a lot, you know, I mean, even the committee being led by Chris Saka, who is the CEO of Sagicor Group and so on, that same negotiating committee that we were talking about. I even wonder like a lot about all the things that could happen from that, because you know, you have different case scenarios. You know, you have your best case scenario, of course. You know, if Leechin actually does find the money somehow, and you know, like it's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. You know, that's how I see it. Because if you find it, I'm like, Leechin,
it's a miracle.
yeah, man, you're the done.
And goated.
You are the done. Yeah, it's goated. Like nobody can say anything now, because you know, him find 100
can he
mil.
do it again though? Can he do a hat trick?
I think he, you know, I think of the hurdles, this is the hardest. This is the highest hurdle to jump across, because yeah, I think this is the hard, because you have more time now to find the rest of the money, and it's not that you need to find 100 mil just like that. US, you need to find they're like smaller installments that you have to be paying and so on. So it's not like, I think this is the biggest hurdle. This right now is the biggest hurdle. But I mean, it's pretty optimistic to be able to find 100 mil, don't you think?
Yep. I guess one of the things I was thinking about is even the whole thing, like, so say he isn't able to find the money. It goes to 45 days, still not able to find the money to say, okay, we're gonna seize the company. Something like that is gonna take time, and then it's like, okay, what actually happens when they seize the company? They have this company worth a price. Then I guess there are different things, because I was seeing they could sell the company to someone or sell that stake, I guess, in the company if someone wanted to buy it. But then the question is, okay, how much would they buy it for?
And not even just that, like, is it one person or multiple persons? Because I'm medsing, you know, if they get control of the 1 billion NCB shares, they might just want to, because they all have to come to, I feel like they all have to come to a decision, even though it's a lot of different people.
Yeah,
they all have
legally,
to come to a decision.
they'd have to get vote on it and whatever, and so they'd have to get the majority and stuff. So I was saying, okay, and even if they sell the company, what are they going to really be able to sell it for? You know, it's like, okay, they're owed, all of these people are owed over 300 mil US. Is someone really going to buy NCB, which is almost like, would someone really buy it for that amount of money?
I think so.
Like, what share price is that? That's I can probably
Well,
check
I
that.
think that would be a cool negotiation
Why would
because
someone buy it for that much? Like if you are someone, you have the
NC.
money, right? And these
Mhm.
guys are pressured. They're like, yo, we need the money now. I have to pay my medical bills. I have to do this. I'll even take
Mhm.
less money than I'm owed. Why would you go
Yeah.
and buy it for some super premium price, like above, when they're pushed into a corner? Like, your money doesn't
Well,
grow on trees. So there's
it
that other
depends on
side.
how many people are buying it, because
Mm-hmm.
suppose you have like 10 different offers. Hey, let's start an auction, bro.
Yeah, but
Definitely. And I think NCB itself as a company is still
uh-huh,
a pretty good company, right? They're still very profitable. They're paying dividends and so on.
uh-huh.
You know, I still think that there is
So
value
would
in
you hold on? Would
owning.
you buy? Would you, if you had the money thing? Would you buy
No,
NCB
no, it's not
for?
about me. It's not about me.
But if you
You
can't
know
see
who I
yourself
think this
doing
is
it, why do you
about?
think someone would do that?
Because someone else may have the means to turn
Uh-huh.
it into something greater.
But
Think about
why would you have to
how many.
spend way more? Like that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they can't turn it, but I'm just saying, why would you spend this huge amount of money when you don't have to?
Well, we never even said a price, and you'd only have to if somebody else pushes up the price. Because, all right, so let's just say, for argument's sake, a sale of this size obviously needs like regulatory approval, right? You're going to need, and I think the possible buyers in my head, I think there's a reason why Chris Saka is in all of this, but that's just me. This is me wanting the whole succession, and I want to see Sagicor go for it. I really think
Mm-hmm.
Sagicor is the one that's gonna buy NCB. I can. That's just me. Can they afford it right now? But can they
Mm-hmm.
find the capital? I think they could definitely find the capital.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Sagicor is already kind of in it, and Chris Zaka is already kind of in the whole mix up and drama
Mm-hmm.
and blender and all of that stuff. Um, so I think there are lots of different other financial institutions that might want to buy it, and there are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of assets that NCB itself owns, because they own Guardian. That's huge in terms of insurance, and they have their pensions, and there are a lot of other. And NCB, as I said, is also profitable, like NCBJ, like
Mm-hmm.
the bank, cap markets, etc. Bro, I think that if the right company comes about, and it doesn't have to be an amazing price. I'm not saying it's gonna be great. Like, it could still be below the share price that it's trading at now. I don't even know what it's trading at now. Do you even know
Mm-hmm.
what it's trading at now?
Today it closed at 37.21.
37, so just shy
So
of
that
forty
values the
dollars.
whole company at just about 100. What's this? 100 billion Jamaican, or about 600 mil US. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying
It's
to do
heavily
some math.
leveraged, man.
Yeah, I was trying to do some math on it to see. So what price are you? What price would you buy
No,
NCB if you were the person, the conglomerate, the group of people, and you're like, hey, I need the money, I'm gonna sell or whatever. What would you buy it for?
didn't we already set a price? We set a price maybe 8 months ago, before all of this came out.
Mm-hmm.
We said $20.
So remind me. So you'd buy it at $20.
Yeah, I'd buy it at 20. I think I still
Okay.
stick with $20.
So then, but oh,
We said
okay.
I think, yeah.
The entire company at $20.
If it's going cheaper, why am I buying at a premium? But I think $20 is more than fair. I
$20.
have to
Okay.
still do the math though, because when I think about it, the whole
Yeah, I'm
company is worth
trying.
600 mil. That
Yeah, I'm
means
trying to do
that
the math
20
on
is
it.
gonna be close to
Probably try to
300
share
mil,
something
and
on
they already
screen.
owe 300. I don't
Because
know.
I guess I'm trying to do the math. So based on what the hold on. So based on what the article is shared, right? They're saying, hey, the shares that are pledged are about 1.6 billion shares, right? And I'm saying at the current share price, that means that Well, okay, the whole company NCB at the $37 that it is today that of recording, as I said, it works out to 100 mil. Let me share my screen. It works out to 100 mil. You seeing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole company, this is how many shares are issued in a company or how many shares are out there. At a share price of 37.21, which is the share price today, you value the company at about 100 billion Jamaican or 600 mil US. Right? So the whole company at your $20 would be worth about 300 mil US.
Mm-hmm.
But the stake, if what the articles or whatever, I guess I could probably check the shareholder list, but say it's probably somewhat accurate. The stake that they reportedly have pledged against the money that they owe is worth, at the $37, is worth about 246 mil. Hold on, is that? Huh. Because they're saying the debt is 300 mil. I need to probably actually do the maths on my own still. But I don't know. My point is, it's weird because, okay, if the shares are sold, he's forced to sell, and then there is a new owner. The new owner is probably not going to buy at some ridiculous price. They're probably say, yo, I want this on the cheap because you're pressured. Like, I don't have to supply and demand, It's not like you have people running down your back saying, yo, they want to buy NCB at 50. People are like, hey, I don't know. I really want to touch that right now. So yes, someone might buy it. I'm not saying because think about it. Almost anything can be a good investment at a cheap price. If someone went out today and they say, yo, I'd sell your NCB at $1 per share, or that'd be what, 2 billion Jamaican or something. Anybody would be like, yes, of course I'd buy that. That's ridiculous. If everything were the same. But I'm saying, I just don't, even if they sell the shares, they're probably not going to sell it at if they did one big sale at once, they probably wouldn't get close to the value of the bonds and stuff. So it's like, okay, because in one of the articles, it was mentioning a possibility where the shares could be, the people could get the shares of NCB instead of getting the cash. But then I'm like, yo, that's a lot of people getting NCB shares when they need money. Well, some of them are going to need money. What is that going to do to the price? I'm trying to see. So yeah, so this same Observer article, he confirmed that one potential outcome is for note holders to receive NCB shares directly in lieu of cash instead of cash, though he cautioned that this would require navigating several legal steps.
I feel like even if that doesn't happen, right, the way they could get shares is still through a trustee. So let's say they don't find this big block purchaser when this happens, and no single buyer is found and thing. The trustee might just sell the shares gradually on the open market. But you kind of have a med that dumping that volume is gonna tank that stock price. And I think that's the big if and but, and that whole apprehension that we're seeing now, and the hesitation that we're seeing with the stock price, and it just kind of, it's languishing around this price. But who knows? I feel like as it gets closer to the end of December, it will start to even drop. And that, I mean, who does that help, right? I mean, if you if the stock price is falling and they're selling it, you're selling now these shares for less, so that harms the bondholders' recovery. That also harms current shareholders of NCB. The only person that this would be good for is whoever is buying at the low, and then if NCB keeps paying dividends, that yield would be, amazing. The potential rebound would be good, but there would be so many shares out there that's a slow rebound. It's like an APO effect, So I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
could either be a fire sale, and that's cents on the dollar, man. Like that's the issue. That'll be cents on the dollar. So, but I'm interested to see, how this all plays out, because
you're watching from the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm too scared to invest in this, man. Because the still optimistic thing is, as I said, Leeching finding that money, pulling the rabbit out the hat. Can you imagine if that happens? The stock price is fine. So,
would it?
But
so you're saying when the news comes out that he was able to find it?
Yeah. So I think as it gets closer to the end of December, you might see a dip in the stock price. And then if he finds the money, you go see that jump right back up because the dip would have been
like how much you think it would move? How much percent you think it could move on that?
I think it could move 30%, at least.
30%.
Yeah.
So how much? I feel like. So how low? Wait, how low you think it can go as the deadline?
I think it can go $30. I think it can go. Hasn't it gone below $30?
Yeah, but just because it has before, don't mean it can.
This is a new and more serious target. So I feel like.
Well, so you're saying
I would say $30
over the next
I'm
few
being
weeks,
conservative.
You would wait for it to drop. So you don't own shares now. You wait for it to drop as possible other bad news. Or to come out.
More news articles.
It could be a situation. Yeah, because I mean, even some articles came out like today. I'm sure there'll be more. But maybe it could be that, hey, some of the people that speak to the Observer or Gleaner people actually are shareholders at the meeting. They could tell you, hey, outcomes, and they're saying, hey, it got my meeting that I went to on Monday or Tuesday got 80%, and we only needed 75%. And it's like, as it grows on more and more, if all of the people are voting yes, 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 then it could make it say, hey, the 95 mil, the 100 mil or whatever definitely has to be paid by this date. So then you
look at the price. The price was on September 15th, $45.64. It closed at. And before that, August 4 was as low as $29.28. And it's been falling from that high of 45 to today. It's now, as you say, it closed $37.21. I think it could touch $30 again, if I'm being honest. And if it does that, then I could also see it going up back to $40 if he does the magic trick. And that's 10%. That's 30% right there.
So that'd probably be like early first week of January you'd be selling then?
Yeah, first week of January.
Interesting. The thing is, I don't know, for that, I feel like the 30% is too ambitious. Not to say that it can't happen, but I feel like even if it was to be 30%, that's probably the top. So for something like that, I would try to be more cautious and go for probably 10% if that were to happen. So it's like, hey,
I think you're underestimating, man, how like the severity of the magic. It's a magic trick, Imagine you find 100 mil out of nowhere, bro. No, man, that's a magic trick. That's literally a magic trick. So I don't know, but I could be just optimistic, as I said, but that is also the optimistic outcome. And how likely do I see that outcome happening? I don't know. Leeching has been finding money. So, I don't. It's hard to roll the dice with a billionaire, man. Like, it's hard to roll the dice with billionaires. I don't gamble, and at worst, I wouldn't gamble with a billionaire. So,
you think you can find the money?
I think he. I mean, one article said he could. Yeah. So, if one article said that he said he could, it's a possibility.
It's a possibility. I can't
and
say.
so on. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I say, I don't gamble.
You don't feel comfortable enough to put your money in this?
I think if you are, you're a madman, and I rate you. I rate that. I just don't have.
What if I was? What if I owned the what would have been interesting is if you were someone who was really serious about this. Imagine buying the bonds from someone else. So say you could arrange with your broker. So I think I saw somewhere it was saying 14 different bonds. Imagine if you buy 1 unit of, or whatever smallest portion you can of each of those bonds after. So I'm saying, like, you're not someone who bought years ago. You're just someone who is up now and you're like, hey, I'm really serious about this. I want to be aggressive with this. I'm gonna try to get, or basically you're just trying to get access to those meetings. And every single day you go to those meetings and you try to find out the outcome of the meeting. And as you go along, you might say, wait, you could be tracking it. You could say, okay, I go start buying initially, just a little, like 5% of the total money I'm putting in. And if every meeting it's still saying yes, 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 it'd be interesting to see, like, I don't know how much of the, if it's 14 meetings or whatever, how much of the meetings do you have to get the 75% of the people to say yes for it to actually go the total outcome? You know, is it 75% of those? I don't know. But yeah, so if you're going to each of the meetings every day, you're like, hey, what are they saying? What's the vote? Oh, yes, the vote is yes, the vote is yes, the vote is yes, the vote is yes, the deal is going to go through, the deal is going to go through. And then you might be like, hey, because I'm even thinking, like, you could, if we could short on our market, or like when stock prices drop and you can basically benefit. Like, imagine if you were someone there and you're seeing the yes, because I was thinking that a drop could happen.
That's true.
If the news comes out about, all the bondholders said, hey, we want the deal, that, hey, if the money isn't paid, if the 100 mil isn't paid by the end of the year, we get the company. I'm thinking that could cause like a negative or a drop in the share price. You don't think so?
Yeah, I do.
I think it's how it could be phrased, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that the headlines, the news would get a, I don't know, I can just think of like what the headlines could say. They'd be like, I mean, look at this article here. They say, bondholders issue leeching a US $94 million ultimatum. I'm trying to think like what would be some of the headlines they could use if they've already used the ultimatum, or doomsday comes, or the doomsday clock is ticking on. I don't know that.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking
anything
how I would
like
play
our
this.
thumbnails.
But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking if I would, I don't think I would go after it, because I'm just like, hey, I feel like there's just, it's not like, oh, I see the stock after this just going to $100. So I feel like the
I agree with you too
see,
with that. Like, and if you don't see it, do you think other financial institutions see it as well? Because you raised a very brilliant point about them buying the company on the cheap. And when I think about it too, you know, NCB, this is Leechen's companies, right? And their stake in NCB. But remember, NCB still has its own debt. NCB itself still has its own debt, and that's backed by Guardian shares and thing. And I start to have to think about, like, even NCB as a company. Do you remember during the pandemic, NCB was struggling, and the reason for that was the fallout in tourism, right? And at that point, you know, you have to think about how tourism and tourism linked loans that NCB had, or so on, the fallout from that, and there are huge ECLs and, you know, expected credit losses. They just had to report losses for people that couldn't possibly pay back a lot of those loans that were tourism linked due to the fallout from COVID. And I think about even now Hurricane Melissa, and how that has possibly affected tourism or agriculture backed loans and so on, and what that has to do with, like, even NCB Jamaica's earnings and capital that might be hit from the hurricane's impact. And then I also think, oh wait, what happened to Guardian too? Because Guardian should have, you know, some significant insurance claims from Hurricane Melissa, right? And yeah, reinsurance might cover a lot of it and so on, but they still would have a net cost or so on. So I'm wondering now, if those companies are in a cash crunch because of the fallout from Hurricane Melissa, and a lot of other institutions too, but we're just highlighting these. What happens to the listed company NCBFG? Because if less cash is going to them, will they pay less dividends? Will they get less money to even pay back those interest payments on those bondholders and so on?
Once
Like
again,
it's just,
that's what I'm saying.
it's
I ain't
rough.
buying this for no $50, bro. I'm not buying
Yeah.
this for no $50. Not buying
Yeah,
it at
fam.
40. To even get me in
Not
the room, it has to be 20. Like if
yeah.
you call me and say, so let's talk about third. As soon as I hear the word third, oh, hang up the call. If you call me back and I need to hear I need to hear te or twe. If it's
Yeah.
not te or twe, hang up the phone, yo.
You're out,
Don't
bro.
call
Don't
me
even take a
phone.
meeting.
I chop it. Hold on. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
get you, Brad. Like it.
Yeah. Wow, that's actually interesting because think about it. The whole company at $20, the whole company is worth 300 mil US. This is saying the debt is like 300 mil US or so. So even if they don't own the whole company, they
Exactly.
only own about half or so.
Half.
So that's what I'm saying. Like it's gonna be interesting because I'm like, wow, what is it? Yeah, because it's a weird situation. Because if the people who the bondholders are saying, hey, instead of getting my 100,000 US that I was expecting to get back, I already got
Yeah.
payments on top of it. I'll just take 80,000. Like I'm wondering how low are they willing to go? You know, like if you are someone who you're at it'd be interesting to see like the data on the age of these people and stuff like that. Because if a lot of them are at the end of their life in their 70s or so, they might say, hey, I just want some money now. I don't want to like my kids to have to deal with this and going on, or I'm sure
Well,
there's
when you
other
think,
issues related to that. They might say, yo, I'll just take some of the money. Like, I don't care. Like, how low are they willing to go? And
yeah,
who
when
would
you
buy
think
it?
about it too, who would buy AIC bonds and so on? It's definitely the older set of people. It's not people our age, really. So, and that
A
was
lot of these
years
bonds
ago.
are pretty far back, right?
Yeah, that was years ago. So
I
that's,
think.
I don't know, man. Like, if I were buying those kind of bonds, I would be in my 50s and I'd be looking to retire. Like, I'm like, all right, I need to set up myself for retirement. I have cash or so on. Let me put it in a bond that's deemed safe, and I should be getting quarterly interest payments. I should get back this big principal by the time I'm retired, and then I'd probably put it in our next bond and so on and get interest payments. Like I think of bondholders as, and I mean, I could be wrong. There are younger people. I know Demetrius Fairbairn did own some bonds and so on. Like, yeah, younger people own bonds. It's not like an old people thing. I get it. All right, maybe I'm just being, but I think majority of the population, that demographic, is definitely in their at least 50s and up. So yeah, bro. And then, yo, the scale of this is so massive. Do you remember the article I sent, or at least the headline I sent in our group chat? And it said the title was, because I was wondering, would the government bail them out? But the title was "No Bailout for Failed Financial Institutions," says Andrew Holness, and that was from January 25, 2023. That was 2 years ago. So, or almost 3 years now. So I mean, if NCB is struggling, I do expect the government to intervene. Worse now, after Hurricane Melissa, they're not gonna have money to intervene. They're just gonna let it play out, man. And so, I don't know. I think that just makes things super hard. So I don't know, man. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But as I said, if I'm not hearing te or twe, I'm not answering the phone, or you're not gonna have me on the phone, yo. This has to be a Duns price. I have to look at it
yeah, I
and be
get that.
like, why are you even selling me at this price? I want that. I want that.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I remember back when it had initially dropped and hit the 30 or whatever, right? I was looking at it then, and then I think some news, I don't remember what news had come out, and it had rebounded. Remember what had happened? Some positive news or something had come out about it, and then it rebounded and it hits up to like 40, And some people, could have been benefited from that. They could have bought at a 30, sold at like 40. And I remember, I was like, damn, I could have done it. But then I was like, I'm looking back now. Because to me, when I was seeing it at the $40 over the last few weeks or whatever, months, I was like, hey, to me, I was like, I don't think it should really be there, because I was like, hey, the issue to me still isn't sorted out. Because I remember there was something about our bondholders meeting that was happening. And then, I should share this on screen. 1 sec. Yeah, I remember it was at the $40 and there was a lot of negative sentiment. It crashed to like $28 or so. And then it rebounded. Something had happened, like some positive news about something had come out. It went up to like 40. It hit almost on its way to 50. And I was looking at it after. And I was like, hey, I felt in a way it was bad. I was like, oh, damn, I could have made that play or whatever. But yeah, I was just like, hey, the issues aren't done to me. I was like, hey, this isn't done. There's going to be some other stuff happening. Why is it at this price? You know?
Yeah.
And so said, so done is now at 37. And I guess there's a lot more negative news. Well, possibly more negative news to come out over the next few weeks. Will it hit $30 again? You think so?
I think it can. And I think the way a lot of these news, the media outlets that are putting it, I think they'll definitely cause it to drop even further. Because when it did hit that $30 before, it was that similar sentiment. You know, it was a lot of negative press out there and so on. And, you know, I hear things on the radio, I hear things. And I think right now, a lot of these news articles aren't even Jamaican news articles. Like, you're seeing more Trinidadian news articles. So when that wave starts to hit Jamaica, and then you see it on the business day, and you see it on TVJ and see.
I don't know. Big up Kalila. I'm sure she's
always big up Kalila.
Yeah, I'm sure she probably did stuff on it. You know, I'm sure other people are.
I'm not really seeing anything with Kalila.
Oh, it might have. Maybe it's not the thumbnail. Sometimes it's or it's not the headline feature or something. Interesting.
I don't think Kalila is
talking there's still about time. Because today. Oh wait, no. It'll be maybe next week then.
The most I'm seeing Kalila talk about is Hurricane Melissa and, you know,
I just don't think it made the headline part. I'm sure that
I don't think she's spoken about it. Yeah.
I'm sure it was mentioned at some point in one of the videos. You can probably check the transcripts after.
But remember, she has that link with Leechin. Like, she had an episode with him on, and I think they did a thing together in terms of like a class and so on. So she might be a bit hesitant to, well, I don't know. She covers all news. So hey. And this is gonna be big. I think this is gonna be too big for her not to cover it. So let's see. But she's been covering the broiler stuff too. I need to watch her recent episodes, because I said this. She had Chris Levy on.
Yeah, I had read. That was. Oh, I think I read some of the transcripts.
This was 7 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look at it.
I don't know. Anything else you want to leave with the people?
Guys, comment below. Like, what do you guys think is gonna happen? Like,
what price would you buy NCB at? What do you think it? Like, what price would you buy it at? Tell me your price.
Yeah, tell me an attractive price.
Price it out. Hold on.
Yeah, what's your price? Because I feel like the people want to know your
whole
price.
Company. So if I'm buying the whole company.
The whole company.
What's that? How much money did they actually make last year? Oh wow, they just released their audited numbers. So for the numbers September 2025, they made profit of, where is this? 23 mil. Is this US? No, this is 23 billion Jamaican. How much of this is cash? They made 16. I don't know. I mean, bro, if I buy it at $10,
You're insane.
Then
But
how
not really,
much?
but
How much is that?
but you're disrespectful.
That's like
Yo,
150 mil US. Why
ten
we don't just round it down
dollars.
to 100 mil US, right?
$10, you're insane.
Mm.
You are actually insane. There's no way
So
that's
how
going to
much?
$10. I think the pension funds
No,
would
I
have
never say it's going
intervened
to
and
$10, but how much?
oh,
Okay, how much would you buy it for then?
20.
20.
I think in the teens is gonna look like it's gonna look really bad.
It's not about what it
It's
looks
gonna
like, it's about what it has to be. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money.
yeah, but then think of the pension funds that have been buying this at 100, 150, and so on.
So buy it at 10.
They would have to. They would have to, which is why I don't think you can even go to below 20. I think you'd
The
see
thing
some
is,
big orders
at
in the queue
$10,
at
it's
that.
at it's 161 mil. So to be nice, because I rate him, I'd do 150 mil.
Oh,
Just to
the
like round
limitless
it.
discount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let
Yeah.
us know what you guys think in the comments below. We've heard from Dr. Matthew Preston and what he thinks. But if you love this episode, hey, smash that subscribe button. Ring the notification bell because we drop episodes every single week. And you don't want to miss this. All right, guys. I think NCB, it's a masterclass in like risk versus opportunity, because we spoke about it. What if COVID never happened and so on? Like there's so many black swan events
what if other investments that had not worked out for them in terms of what they did with the money, what if they had worked out?
exactly they would have looked like geniuses.
Yeah,
They would
people
have
would be like, yo, imagine if he doubled, like there was a point where he became a billionaire. Imagine if he became 10 billion. They'd be like, wow, look, how did he do it? How he leveraged his bank to then make even more money and become one of the richest people in the world and
exactly.
Yeah, it's just part of the game.
It's just part of the
game.
Just
part of the game. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, yeah, it's just life.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want you guys to think about what all of this could even mean for your portfolio. And if you learn something new, share this episode with a fellow investor, a friend that don't even start investing or anything, But until next time, guys, keep asking those hard questions. Keep dropping stuff in the comments because we love to hear what you have to say. Keep your research tight. And most of all, stay sharp and stay limitless. Thank you.
Peace.